Hi there, it's Cheyenne Obrey here, and welcome back to day number 3 of my 7-day challenge. For my subscribers that follow my YouTube channel, you know I'm doing a 7-day challenge where each day I am giving you all keys. There's 7 keys, and these keys unlock access to achieving self-mastery and living a life of higher vibration, and they all really tie into each other. So for those of you that are just tuning in today, welcome. I hope you enjoy. Today is a very special day, and I'm excited to share that with you. But key number 1, journey with fierce intention. And it really is vital in that being the key number 1 to door number 1, because we really have to set our intentions, our vision, 2020 vision, it's all about it. But being really clear and having clarity on what it is we want, and setting our intentions fiercely on that, and everything we do doing with intention. Key number 2, just to summarize, journey with fierce focus and concentration, and how that really is a daily practice, and intention ties right into that fierce focus, because we have to know what we're focusing on and what our concentration needs to be to align us with our goals and bring us closer to our higher self and our vision. And so really practicing that daily along with fierce intention is keys to success and accessing that self-mastery. So today is a very special day, and I'm excited to share with you, and it actually ties into key number 3. Key number 3 is journey with your spirit tribe, but not just journey with your spirit tribe. You need to really be selective on who it is that is your spirit tribe. So key number 3, journey with your spirit tribe mindfully. And there's a lot that ties into this, but it's kind of very fitting for today, because today I'm in kind of a heartfelt reflection and joy of the experience that I've been blessed to be able to share. And that is today, 7 months ago, I met my twin flame, and my life has forever been changed because of that. And the picture kind of inspired the reason my face is all painted up like it is. Just really my light. And it's interesting, I'll share a little bit of our story just in honor and celebration of meeting my twin flame. A twin flame is a word that I never even had heard before meeting him. And wow, it's only been 7 months, but I definitely feel that I've known him for lifetimes, and there's been so much that has just happened in the 7 months of us being united and together that it's mind-boggling just to even think back on everything. So with that, I'll share how we met. I probably had reached my darkest hour, my darkest day. It was shortly after the separation, and I was temporarily out of the home that my mom had bought me with my mom's settlement that she had got for my dad's death money, and I had faced some pretty harsh betrayals, and I was living that victim mentality of woe is me. I ended up setting out on that day just in a complete self-destruct mode, and it was because it was the first day that I wasn't getting to see my 5 children. I had already seen the kids the 4 days allotted by the judge, and out of spite, even though my ex was working, he refused to let me see the kids, and so I was set on you hurt me, I'm gonna hurt you 100 times worse. I used to live out of that state of vindictiveness and one-upping. Looking back, it was such a waste of energy, but everything happens for a reason, and I have to embrace that. And it's funny because my friend and I, who actually at the time was battling cancer, she just found out a couple months prior that she had melanoma and had lost her toe, and her and I, we used to be neighbors. We formed a very close friendship and relationship, and she was with me, and I think that, you know, she was just kind of like there to make sure I didn't go too far off track. We ended up at a local annual firemen's event at a local brewery, and I literally went there just because my ex was a fireman, and I was really set on just being vindictive. So I went there all dressed up cute in an orange Realtree mini dress and just done up to impress. And I didn't really think that one through, because being an empath, I could feel everybody's energy and the psh, psh, psh. And what in the hell is she doing here? He was working, so obviously he wasn't there, but it was a definite action of being disrespectful and just flaunting my stuff, or so I thought. And so I think it was a drink or two in, they have strong drinks. I told my friend, you know, this is definitely not comfortable. We gotta leave. I think I've done the damage intended. Everybody's ruffled feathers. We can go now. So we end up back at the local little smoke shop that I actually used to manage when I was pregnant with my youngest. And I had a lot of friends that worked there, and so took kind of intermission, break time before big party time. That night we had kind of orchestrated a group of friends that were all going to go out and have a good time. And at that time I was really running from feeling the pain, and anything I could do to numb that pain, I did. It was definitely a dark time, and I was living in a state of complete fear and paranoia, and my ex he had tracked me and surveillanced me for a very long time before the separation. And so I really had kind of that paranoia of being watched and not having any privacy, and my every move being reported. And then living in a small town, there's that. And so there was this guy that had pulled up in a queue, and he'd actually circled the parking lot a couple of times. So it kind of fed my, oh my gosh, this guy's spying on me. My ex has hired a private investigator. And I pointed him out to my friend that worked there at the, she still works there, but she's like, oh, no, Cheyenne, you know, he's cool. He's not from around town. He's not a cop. He's not an investigator, I swear. And so she goes up and starts talking to him, and I'm kind of standing behind her, a little intrigued, because he's very handsome, and his smile is just very captivating. And I remember making a joke, because he had this nice Q SUV. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but a very fancy style vehicle. And I made a joke. I was like, you have a vehicle big enough to fit all of my kids. And to anybody else, I think that would be like the exit put in reverse, like, this chick has 5 kids, why? Yeah, it was funny, and I don't even think that he really understood what I was saying, but I remember standing there and just being really like drawn into him, but a little bit nervous because of my familiar past of being deceived and betrayed. And so I remember taking his picture. It was the funniest thing. And I have that picture to this day, and it really makes my heart smile. And I remember thinking to myself, well, at least I have a picture. So if he's like a mass murderer or somebody like that, then at least people will know what he looks like. So I get in and we start talking, and I allow myself to be vulnerable enough to start to share a little bit of what it was that I was going through. And this man not only listened to understand, but he shared his story of you know, his personal life, and how he too had been separated from his 2 children, and the traumatic way in which it happened. And he shed some tears, and I remember that being at first a little uncomfortable, because I have never really been around anyone who was comfortable enough in his place and where he was at in life to share tears and to share that pain, and to openly be honest about how he was feeling. But there was something so comforting about somebody that understood. And he told me, he's like, this is going to be the hardest time of your life. I'm not going to lie. And the next thing he said really caught me off guard. He's like, you need to wake up every morning and you need to forgive their father, even if he hasn't said he's sorry, and even if he never says he's sorry, because it is vital in not only how you mother those children, but how you heal. And we sat there and we talked for a little bit, and he shared a little bit more of his story, and I just felt so drawn to him. I can't even explain it with words. I've never felt that kind of energy connection of just, wow. Butterflies, which actually just happens to be his spirit animal, don't even begin to describe the feeling in which I was feeling the feelings. So we parted ways, though. He wasn't much of a barman and still isn't, and so he declined my offer. He actually didn't really decline it, but just kind of made me aware that he was in search of his friend, and that he was there using the Wi-Fi, and then he kind of had a mission to go pick up his friend that was depending on him. And so I set out the rest of the night with my friends as intended. However, my state completely shifted to doing a lot of internal thought. And instead of being that wild girl going out, you know, to possibly go home with the best friend of the ex, I was literally set on a path of destruction. I ended up at the bar outside by myself on a picnic table bawling. And I remember texting him in the middle of the night just before my phone was dead. I think it was early morning, like after midnight. Bar was getting ready to close down, and all I could think about was this guy. And so I think I messaged him on Facebook, and I asked, are you sober? Because I was looking for a sober ride out, because I definitely was not at that time. And then my phone died. And I'm proud to say that I went home with my friends and ended up sleeping in their van and did a lot of internal thought. But 7 months ago, it's been a journey since then. And it's interesting because I woke up that morning to a text message from him basically checking on me and saying, I missed the text message. He's like, well, I'm not much for bars, but if you need to be rescued, I'll come. And I just thought that was really cool that somebody would go out of their way to come all the way back up to the small town, Concrete, so far away. Not really, but Cedar Woolley, it's probably a good 20-minute drive, and he was willing to do that for a complete stranger. He definitely knew I was in, you know, not a good state, and he then texted, make sure you let me know you're okay. Even if you went home with a hunk of a man, you know, just say I'm your brother, but I'd love to know that you made it home safely and that everything is okay. And I thought that was so heartfelt and sweet. And thus began the next 7 months. And it's interesting because he called me an empath the first day that he met me, and he definitely was the first enlightened, awakened man that I've ever met, and he has really fast forwarded my awakening process. And it's interesting, the twin flame thing that ties into it. He and I were spending some time together, and I subconsciously, unconsciously knowing, called him by the name of Andrew. And so this was interesting because I don't really know Andrew. I think there was a man named Andrew that he was a wrestling coach for my son, but beyond that, like, we had no rapport. And it was actually my friend that had picked me up when we had first started, like, really seeing each other, and the same friend that had cancer. And she's like, Cheyenne, you know his name's not Andrew, right? And it literally took her to say that. And then I looked at his face, and just the, like, what the actual beep? Why is she calling me this guy's name? And he was really, really caught off guard by that. Sorry if you guys are hearing the notifications. I'm not quite sure how to shut that off yet. But it was very interesting. And I remember thinking, oh, well, I just messed that up. And I have no idea why the hell that I am calling him Andrew. But he is enlightened and awakened enough to definitely know that there's that connection of feeling like we've known each other in past lifetimes. And so one day it's actually my goal to get a past life regression and try to figure out how Andrew and my life tie together. Andrew, Kevin, whatever you want to call him. It's been an amazing journey and an experience that I'm so thankful to have gotten to experience. And continue to experience with him in our relationship over the 7 months has taken on different forms, and we've been through the fire, and it's been a journey, but it's not a journey that I would trade for anything in the world. And so I'm very excited to get to tie that into, you know, being mindful of who our spirit tribe is, and those divine connections. And it's interesting, you know, I mentioned that his spirit animal is a butterfly. We have seen and started recognizing so many synchronicities since we're together. Our synchronicity is mine 7 and his 11. And it seems like, especially when we're apart, those synchronicities tie together a lot. And I'm always even seeing 11 and 7s in different things tied together. And the universe has a way of just bringing our spirit tribe to us. But we have to be really mindful in who we allow in our tribe. And truth be told, you know, people are big energy consumers, and that's reality. But not only can they consume our energy, but they can also bring us energy. And so finding that balance is really, really key. I want you to really take some time and ask yourself this: if you had 4 hours left to live, whom would you choose to spend it with? And this was a question that Don DePani actually asked, and it really got me to thinking, you know, it's true. It really is true. When you shrink your time, you increase your focus and clarity on whom it is that you would want to have in your life. And we really need to live like that. You know, we only have now. And it's easy to think, oh, you know, I really love this person, they're going to change. I'm going to get more into that in a little bit as we go on. But just keep in mind, you know, who we choose to surround ourselves with has a huge impact on not only our energy, but our balance in life. And I'm going to go into that actually. One of my spirit guides, who actually started out as my massage therapist, Anita, an amazing lady. I'm so thankful for her in my part of my journey, and it's just even more affirmation to me that the universe brings those people into your life that are meant to be in your spirit tribe. And I even believe that they're tied to us not just in this life, but in past lives. I really believe that our spirit tribe tends to encircle us. I read a book that I'll actually leave in the description, and it's through Brian L. Weiss, I believe I'm saying that correctly. I'm actually reading the second book of his, but it was actually a book that was given to me by Anita, and it's called Many Lives, Many Masters, and it goes into past life regression. And he shares about how the people that have gone through the regression, they recognize some of the people in their past lives as being people that are in their present life. And so that's part of what formulated that belief for me. And it's just fascinating to me. And now I'm actually reading one that goes into him going into people's future, and I'll leave that link too. I can't remember that off the top of my head, but the people we allow in our lives as far as relationships, it's really important to find that balance. And so she shares with me, Cheyenne, picture like a double beam scale, you know, those scales that have the little dishes, and then there's the middle that's the balancing agent. And so there's 3 types of relationships, right? 3 types of people. We have our uplifting person over here, people, our uplifting spirit tribe, who often are the awakened people who are inspiring and help us grow and help us reflect and help us do that inner work by guiding us with their light and their wisdom and their love. And then we have our neutral, our level, our even people, and those are the people that really don't require a lot of energy. They're on the same level as us. We just enjoy our time with them. We don't really leave feeling depleted of any energy. It's just that neutral balancing agent. And then over here we have the not uplifting. And these often can be where we spend the 10% of our energy that we have allotted to being their spirit guide and helping them by shining our light and our love and our wisdom through our journey. And it's really important that we're careful in the aspect of this scale, that we don't have a lot of people who are not uplifting. And it's interesting because I've heard these people referred to as energy vampires. And actually, Dandapani actually talked about this in his video that I was watching the other day, about how that there's two types of energy vampires. There is the, I'm trying to remember how he worded it. There's the, the transient, which means that they're the transient and vampire. They're not necessarily always going to be an energy vampire, but they're going through some stuff. And I definitely feel like there's been times in my life where I was an energy vampire, especially when I was in my darkest time. You know, it's hard to hide those emotions and not want to confide in someone that you care and in someone in your spirit tribe that loves you, and hopefully you've experienced or get to experience in this lifetime the beautiful unconditional love that can be experienced from the right person. And so at times I think we can all be energy vampires, but it really is in deciphering between the transient, who is just somebody who's going through a hard time. You know, they're going to come back out of it. They're going to be either that level or that, you know, person that lifts you up in your time of need. But then there's those people that are an inherent vampire, and those are the people that just are really set on negative polarity. And I definitely have a few of those people in my life that I really had to do some evaluation on who it is that I have in my life. And part of the awakening process, I think, for everybody is you go through that point where you really have to do an evaluation of who it is that surrounds you, the herd, sort of speak, and you have to distance yourself for spiritual growth. Hold on for just a second. Come in. They changed their mind. So spiritual growth, really, sometimes we have to go it alone in our journey to be able to do the reflection that we need to do in the inner work, and to be very cautious of who we are allowing to influence us and who we are allowing to consume our energy. And there was a period of time where I really had to step away from the herd, so to speak. I'm coming right back.
The cat, Sassy's nose is running up.
Oh no, she must be sick. Mommy will fix her. Mommy's doing a vlog post right now, and I will fix her in just a second, okay? The kitty's nose is running. Anyways, yeah, so leaving the herd, choosing your tribe mindfully, it really is key in your journey to success, and it's a key in really protecting your environment and who you have in it, and your energy. And so I really want you guys to spend some time evaluating your relationships. And you know, it's interesting because I love animals, and I am definitely a horse lover. I heard this said, and it's very true. You know, we keep animals like kitties, and poor kitty. I have to figure out what's going on. I have one cat sneezing too, but getting off point. Horses, dogs, but we don't keep vampires. And there is a reason for that. And you know, I've always been that person that wants to try to help and guide and pick people up and help them heal and fix their problems. And I used to do it actually in reflection as a way of not facing my own bullshit and my own reality and needing to heal. So I would dive into other people's problems and try to fix them as a way of avoiding my own inner work that I needed to be doing. But I have a few friends that I've had to distance myself from because they really are set on a path of negative polarity and huge energy vampires. And it's been in just, you know, the last few months where I really had to see that reflection, and it's hard not to miss them, and it is really hard to walk away from people and not be consumed by the negative polarity, because I mean, all of us know it. I think that we can all say that we've experienced this from time to time, where we're in relationships with, you know, our friends, and say that, you know, they're an energy vampire, and they're really just consumed with those negative feelings and emotions, and constantly sharing them, and fighting with their spouse, or, you know, it's hard not to let that reflect in our own behaviors. And I can't count how many times I was in a situation where, you know, I got mad at the people that I was with, just because the person that I spent most of my time was mad at their people, and I didn't even really have a reason to be mad. I just, you know, it's easy to take on other people's energy like that, and to react in the same way that they do. And I have had to do a lot of reflection and healing on you know, that aspect of how I allowed negative polarity to really affect my marriage. Unfortunately, that wasn't the only thing wrong with it, or it might have been savable, but I'm thankful, you know, everything happens for a reason. And as painful as, you know, this divorce and separation has been, it led me to being able to meet my twin flame, and to be able to experience a love and a connection in a manner in which I never even knew possible. And so I'm very thankful for that, and I'm thankful for the relationships that I have in my life right now. I have some amazing, uplifting, inspiring people, and I couldn't be more thankful for those people in my life, and just being able to really embrace those relationships and cherish that time and find that balance in my life has been a real healing part of my journey. And that brings me to my face. We're meant to live a life of joy, and this morning, I'm not gonna lie, I was like, oh, it's so early, and I really wanted to get this video out early. I set out with a fierce intention of doing it. Woke up, made my bed, finished, you know, the first thing that I started, which was my intention of having a restful night and waking up, as I shared in the video yesterday. So I made the bed, and I'm sitting there in the bathroom thinking, you know, I don't know if I really have the energy to put my makeup on just yet, but I've got to do this video. And then my younger two walked in, and they're really fascinated by my art piece that I made yesterday, and they're like, Mom, we want to paint. And so I just thought it would be something cute. So I handed them bingo doppers and Q-tips, and they created Mom's face. So today you're getting to look at a 4- and 5-year-old masterpiece on their mom's face. And it really is, like, you know, when we have that extra energy allotted, even though I didn't choose to put it in making my face up with makeup, I chose to spend that time cherishing my two beautiful youngest children, and allowing them the joy of getting to paint Mommy's face with glow-in-the-dark paint. So there is a lot to be said in just being able to be present in the moment with the people that you love the most. And it is such a rewarding feeling when we're able to do that, and not have those energy vampires taking up our time or completely shifting our state. Invest your energy into your balanced spirit tribe, and practice the art of being detached to the people that aren't meant to be there. And that doesn't mean that you have to be rude or disrespectful. You always need to be loving and kind. But this is something that he goes into, that you can be kind to a person but not engage them. You know, we often find ourselves almost like with this obligation to ask people, how are you doing? Do we really want to know how they're doing? You know, our time is valuable, and like, you know, I've been preaching all along, we all have the same 24 hours in a day. It's what we choose to do with it. And you know, sometimes you get that phone call from that friend and that member of your spirit tribe, and you do drop everything and you go be there because you're a loyal person, and those people are people that you choose to invest your energy on because they're people that you love, and they're people that help balance. But then there's some people that will always have that cry for help and always want to consume your energy, and you really have to be really careful of that. And so Dandapani actually shares how you can practice detachment in a loving, kind manner. Don't ask those questions you don't want to know. Let them know that, you know, you hope their day is great, you're in a hurry, you have a lot of stuff to get done, and it's not being not sincere, because at the end of the day, our time is precious, and we really have to choose how and whom we spend that time on and that energy. And so just always be kind, but don't engage. And another thing is, it's not our job to save people. I definitely feel like, you know, on the people who are not uplifting, possible energy vampires, depending on, you know, where they're at in their life, don't ever keep those inherent vampires around that are kind of set on that lifetime of negative polarity and being that energy vampire. But for those people that are in the temporary state, lead them, guide them, love them with light, but make their spiritual growth and their healing their own responsibility. And I love this. Like, it is not your job to hold their hand and help them through everything. You give them the knowledge and the keys to success, and you give them the responsibility of taking it upon themselves with their own willpower to grow and do the work that they need to do. And it really cannot be done by you. So to think for a second that you're gonna awaken this person and help them through all of their stuff and just do the work for them, you're sadly mistaking yourself, and you are wasting precious time and energy that could be allotted to the people that you love. And so it really is important to be mindful of our relationships. Another thing is, you need to sometimes relocate your energy in your relationships, and sometimes that goes, you know, to the people that are most deserving of it, the people that you see really growing and thriving. But also, you know, being a mom of 5, I'm learning you cannot give even an equal attention at all times. And so I've actually implemented in my life this new thing that I'm doing with the kids, where starting with the oldest to the youngest, each day one of the children gets an extra 30 minutes awake at bedtime with me. And it really gives me that time of one-on-one connection, where I can really just sit and listen and practice the art of, you know, listening to understand and not listening to respond or to have answers, and just to really understand where they're at in their journey and how I, as their mother, can and best serve them, you know, and setting those dates for the coffee morning with a friend that's uplifting and inspiring, or those date nights with the friends that are just fun to be around, that require no energy, they're right at your level. It's really important to be very attentive of that scale of our relationships and how balanced we are and where our energy level is, and being mindful. Also, something that I feel really important to share too is we need to practice love and limits. And I'm currently participating in a program called Strengthening Families, and I've actually participated in it a couple years in a row. A friend of mine who actually is my oldest daughter's Girl Scout leader, and she's been in our lives for many years now, and she's definitely an inspiring person and an uplifting person. Her name is Stephanie, and it's just really a blessing this time, as I've awakened, to be in the class, because at what I first kind of, you know, I took some advice and some helpful points, but I was so lost and so lacking the knowledge and energy that I needed just to get through the day. I was in a really dark place the last few times that I had took the class, that now that, you know, I'm awakening in my journey and working to do the inner work and better myself, I've really taken a lot out of this same class that I've already taken many times. And they share love and limits, and I love this because, you know, we really can't always choose who it is that we love, and it's hard sometimes to learn how to set those boundaries and draw those limits. And they teach us, you know, limits, love and limits with our children, and how important it is to have a fine balance in all of it. And so love is a rare and beautiful thing. Unconditional love is even more rare. I definitely feel like I feel that unconditional love towards my twin flame, obviously my children. I don't think that there's anything in the world that they could ever do that would make me not love them. But it is very important, and I've seen a lot of people love with their whole heart, and it completely destroys them because they haven't set those limits and those boundaries. And so it's really important to remember that unconditional love, as beautiful and rare as it is, it does not mean unconditional acceptance of bad behavior. And we have to really keep reminding ourselves of that. Like, you know, it's easy to get caught up as parents in wanting to be their friends, and even I feel like I've had parents share with me how they're almost fearful in this day and age to discipline their children, and not knowing the proper way in which to discipline them. So with that being said, I feel it's very important to be mindful of those limits and those boundaries, and pay attention to when people react with anger or hostility to your boundaries and to your limits, because those are big signs that they are not respecting of you, and that is not a relationship that you want to foster any more energy and attention on. If a person disregards your feelings and continuously causes you pain, learn how to move on, learn how to let go, and walking away from those relationships and letting go. As someone who's just recently lost a lot of friends, I know how hard it is to practice that separation and that distance, and I'm currently experiencing that with some of my current relationships in Spirit Tribe as I grow and become more hyper aware of those energy vampires, as painful as it is. You know, my best advice is, you know, it's okay to not know how to move on. It's okay to not have the strength to be able to know how to let go. I just highly encourage that you practice with starting to not engage with them. Don't go to them. Don't pursue going to see them, and practice that separation and that distance, and be mindful of how you feel. Yes, your heart's going to ache, and you're going to feel the pain of that separation, especially if you love them unconditionally and they're a part of your life. But you really have to focus on loving yourself and setting those love and limits, and preserving your energy for the people who are deserving of it in your Spirit Tribe. And yeah, this is just a work in process for me, so I can share the wisdom that's been shared with me and the steps and how to do it. But it's not an easy thing. It really isn't. And so I hope that you guys take all this in and really just take some time reflecting and evaluating those people that you have in your Spirit Tribe, and do some separation if necessary. It's an important key to success and self-mastery, because if you have those people that are always there draining your energy, or those people that are set on the path of negative polarity, or if you have way more energy vampires, or you know, the people that are draining of your energy, and not enough people uplifting and inspiring you, you will end up you will end up falling, and it's hard to get back up sometimes, and it's hard not to be consumed by that. And I've heard stories of people who have gone through, you know, such amazing growth, and they get to a point where they get tired, or they start to go through the dark night of the soul, and it's a little bit too much to handle, and so they fall back in those, you know, same circles of friends and people who they practiced, you know, separation and distance from, and they end up, you know, regressing, and not in a good past life regression therapy way, in a self-destructive, I'm gonna have to start back over again and climb my way back up. And I highly recommend, if you can avoid that at all costs, do so. And so today, I want to just focus on, you know, living that life of joy and love, and celebrating those relationships that bring us those feelings of love and happiness, and cherish those memories, and focus your intent on being really mindful of who it is that you have your Spirit Tribe, who it is you have in your Spirit Tribe, And I hope that this spoke to you. If you guys were inspired by this, please like this video and subscribe. Day number 4 is yet to be planned, but I kind of have an idea of where I'm going, and it ties in today and of course the prior 2 days, because all of these keys need to be utilized together to access that self-mastery and living that life of a higher dimensional form with the wisdom that you're gaining and applying that daily. And so I look forward to seeing you tomorrow and on day number 4. I hope that you guys remember today throughout the day to fiercely, intently set out to focus your concentration on what it needs to be, so that you are aligned with your vision and you are getting closer daily to that self-mastery. Have a wonderful day. Thank you.